Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. It is Monday morning, 8:09 a.m. It says it's 73 out. A second ago it said 72. But it felt pretty warm when I went out there. So let's see. I would say it felt like 82. Is what I think. Let's see. I'm curious about what the moon is up to. Feels like 84, yeah. So it was probably like 82 when I was out there. It felt pretty darn warm. Looks like it's gonna be a dry day today. Let's see. Allergies are low. What was humidity? Humidity is important. Humidity is 94%, so it's not as crazy high. It's been like just pegging 100% for the last few days. Not, it won't even sunset, won't even till 8:51 tonight. It's gonna be, we go to bed at 9, so it's gonna be very light out when we go to bed. And that actually reminds me, 71%, and the moon is phasing out. Um, and I think we have a holiday coming up. But I probably won't be able to do this tomorrow because for the first time this whole year, I have to. I don't have to, but they're strongly encouraging us to go into work tomorrow so we can meet everybody. There's some new members of the team, stuff like that. We'll have some pizza and stuff like that. So it should be a really fun day. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to kind of keep an eye on the protests going on in Atlanta because I don't want to find myself in the middle of that. But if everything seems like it's cool, I'll be in there. So I probably won't do one tomorrow, but I believe we have June 19th off, which is Thursday. So maybe I'll try to do a double that like one and then another one. But anyways, so we are trying what we've been working on in the beginning is like we got add working and now we want to get delete working. But then I came to the conclusion, well, I don't want to get delete working in this layout. I would like to have a different layout, a tabular layout. Um, and then it was like, okay, that's cool, but if I have a different layout, I need to get routing working. I need to get different things working. So if you were to look at it from like a point of like a leadership person or something, they're like, man, they've been working on delete forever. But we're building all the pieces along the way. And it's very similar like to like around here anyways, when you see like a building go up, what'll happen is you'll see a sign go up saying, hey, we're gonna build a building here, blah 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 blah. And then it'll sit there for like 2 months or something, 3 months. And then like just like almost overnight they'll take out all the vegetation, all the trees and stuff like that, and all that, and then it'll just kind of sit like that for months on end. You'll see tractors start to show up and all that, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, there's the cement and all that gets put down, and then the foundation all gets put out, and I guess all kinds of plumbing and stuff like that happens, and then it just sort of freezes, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, you see the building go up, and it looks like, oh, they're almost done. They'll be in there any week, and then it just sits there and sits there as they finish off all the inside stuff. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, that's how this is. It's just like we come up with something that we want to get to, and now we got to build all the pieces to get there. And this one's going to be a pain because well, I guess that's not true. I was going to say it's going to be a pain because we can't add them while they're in this mode, but we can. We can actually add. And actually, I wanted to see what happens if you add then and then you go back. Let's see. Add. So now we have 4. And see, that's the other thing is we're like looking for bugs like crazy. And if we find them, we fix them. Okay, we had 4. Yeah, see, now we have 5. So you can add them over there. So actually, we can even just start in delete and add. So step 1 of 1000 is find the component that I'm working on. And since normally step 1 is to create the component, but we already have the component. Now let's just validate things work the way we think they work. So this is what I think happens. Now, unfortunately, we can't see anything. So let's just go back into this view and right click, inspect, and see if we see our app. If it's just that we can't see it because of the excuse me. Oh man, I got to get better at turning off my microphone. Um, all right, so let's see. What if I click in here? Can I? So here's our app group, app man, out router outlet. Yeah, at tabular layout, and then there's our text. It's way up there. So, so to me, and I think this is fine. We may have to worry a little bit about um, this being over the top. I think it's fine for this to start at the top there. We might need to give it like a margin above or something like that, so that because it's possible that once we make this full size, that these won't be visible, and then maybe we make app menu layout have a higher z index. Oh, right now it has a z index of 1,000. So that means that this guy, I'm assuming his z index is probably um, 0 or 1. So this should never go over the top of that. And I think it's fine for it to start at the top. So I think that we should just go into our app custom layout and just grab that markup and just bring it over here. Now I'm assuming that there is no renderers over there. So it should just break. Because I don't think there's any renderers. Yeah, we didn't import app viz. There's just all kinds of problems. We got all kinds of problems, guys. So I guess the first thing we should do is import app viz, and we should probably just look in here and see how we did it there, because it's going to be identical. So let's find our import. And then let's just hit the back button. See what time. Oh, Rhett, I forgot to give you your nut. She was being such a good girl, though. I wonder if that was a smart move or not to give her nut. All right, so let's go ahead and just we copied that. Let's go back to here and paste this here. Oop. Did not do that right. This component. Now it doesn't know what that is. I'm hoping I get a blue guy here. Yep. And then so now we got our viz component. And then I'm thinking that over here I probably have like and I like how that definitely looks like it took it from the right place. I always at least glance up here to make sure that everything's coming from the right place. And then viz component, and then let's go back over here, and we want to, yeah, we're gonna need this because this is how we get a reference to the actual component. So now we come back over here. And the whole time I'm thinking, okay, like, should I be duplicating this or not? Am I violating the dry list? Okay, so I believe this will come from core. Yep. And then I believe this one will come from core as well. And that looks good. Although I would rather it kind of come in like this. And there we go. Yeah, we're still broken. What else do we need? Yeah, I think we're going to need the UI service. Wow, I guess we need the animation service. Yeah, animation service is what tells it to redraw. That is a bit weird from an architectural perspective. Visualize. So basically this is telling it, hey, I'm all done. because it's really the component's the only one that really knows when things are done. It's like would be idea. It would be better if it was coming from someplace else, but unfortunately, it's not. Our animation service, our UI service, I believe, is how we get our signal. And I don't know what we need visualization service for. And that's what sets up the DOM. Ugh. Yeah, that's a lot of moving parts. This is like in my current job, one of our products that we have um, extends a lot of components. It'll take a component and extend it from a more base component. And now I'm kind of, I, man, I have really mixed feelings on whether that's a good idea or not. But now I'm starting to see why you'd want to do that, because really this is almost a direct copy of the other service. I mean, the other component. Okay, so UI service, where did that come from? Yeah, I like that. That works. Inject should come from core. And yes, and I like how now it noticed that, okay, you're putting it on different lines. So it did that. They actually said, okay, they changed the style of in putting the imports, animation service, and then visualization service. All right. Now I think probably we need to copy over this. Well, we probably need ST renderers, because that's the thing and I think this might actually fix the bug. I mean, fix the transpiler. So, but we got to import our ST renderer. It's probably ST renderer is so unique, we probably don't even need to worry about it. But it looks like it gave us two choices. One, to bring it from the barrel file, and a barrel file is like usually index.ts that has all of them, or bring it directly in. I'd rather bring it in from the barrel. Sorry about the sun coming in. 8:22 now. So yeah, so now it's not broken anymore, but there are no renderers. So I think the next step is to, and I guess we could even test that. Like we can add a visualization and it doesn't show up. I'm guessing in the constructor we must set that guy up. Yep. Now I'm very curious, do we need this update visualization layout? And I don't even know, I guess this gets called, man, it'd be interesting to see how this gets called. I think it must get called from one of the services. Oh no, here it is. This update visual. Okay, so we have to have update visualization server. Now this one, I think it makes sense to pull this into a service, and probably into the visualization service, because we probably shouldn't have two copies of this in the two constructors. Now, timing becomes an issue, right? We learned that before, that timing can become an issue once you pull something into a service. Um, and that is why it's so great to have the end-to-end tests, because if it did become an issue in some circumstance, the end-to-end test, it should become pretty obvious. But let's come over here and bring in our two files. First thing I want to do is just put a little comment. Duplicated. Usually, like a lot of people will say like that, to do duplicated code from custom layout, move to service. And I'm not even going to try to decide which service is the right service right now. And then effect should come from core. Okay, so I think everything looks pretty good. Let's save. Let's see what happens. Reloads. We are in tabular. Yeah, baby. So that's pretty good. You know, like this is kind of thing. Like if we had a story that says put into tabular mode, this would be a great time to be like mission accomplished. But you know, just so that like you have something. So like okay, so now theoretically we can go to here. Yeah. So we can move back and forth. See, that's pretty nice. Very like we basically just copied and pasted that. So we want to move this into yeah, it's 825. Man, it's just amazing how like fast things can go all of a sudden. You know, like spent forever getting all this wired up, and then now it's just like boom, done. We do want to move this into a service. It's called update visualization layout. We have a visualization service and animation service. So it doesn't seem to have anything to do with animation. We have UI service. But I think UI service is mostly just more of the state. It keeps the state of things. So I think that this goes into. Now the thing is I know we have some kind of weird thing where we have one service that cannot access a different service. So I don't know if visualization service can get access animate service. It should be able to, but let's go look. So it does not have access to the animation service right now. So that is the big question is do we want this is where things get do we want the visualization service to access the I think I'd rather have the visualization. If I had to choose between the two, I'd rather the visualization service access animation service than this. Well, we have two anyways because we have this. Yeah. It always bothers me when, like, I'm reading this st renders equals. Okay, that makes sense. This. What is this doing? I don't know. This animation. I guess, yeah, it's wiring up these. I don't know. I don't actually know what it's doing. Set timeout, set up DOM visualization. So let's see what happens. Let's see if we can just copy this code into visualization service. Visualization service. I'm going to put it right at the end of here. And it's like it would be nice if even I've written every line of this code, right? But even with that, as I'm going through, I don't have any idea what any of these things are doing, and you just can't keep all that in your head. You know, you have to be able to do that. So animation service is not a thing over here. And I'm just like, okay, visual. It seems like animation service is sort of a kind of a almost like a utility. So it seems like everybody should be able to access that one. That one seems like everyone should be able to have direct access. So for some reason I decided to make all these private over here. So it brought that in for me. It imported it. Let's see where we're at. that's good. Now, let's see if we can come in here and instead of using one, say this. Where is this guy used? Right there, okay. So this dot visualization service. Nope. And then, so now it's using this other one instead. See if anything goes sideways. Sometimes you'll get like a, yeah, see, it looks like didn't like, something broke. It probably didn't like that injection, that, yeah. I don't really understand this issue. No provider for inject. In root scheduler. See, I think it just didn't like the way I pulled the visualization service inside of that. And it might be because the set timeout, it might lose scoping. But I mean, the problem is that it needs access to the animation service. Update visualization layout. Now, the other place. So what does update visualization layout do? That's this. Okay. So all it does is call things in the animation service. So maybe it belongs in the animation service. Yeah, actually, I think that is the better place to put it. And then let's come in here and just delete everything that that thing has. Yeah, so now everything that we did in here, we just want to get rid of. So I'll just hit this little button here, discard changes, and get. Now we're back to where we were, and now let's sort of explore the idea of, instead of copying this code into visualization service, let's copy it into animation service. I think the only reason visualization service, like, I think it's fine. I think that conceptually having that code in the visualization service is fine, but the problem is I mean, not the problem, but it is, I think, just as fine to have it in, like, this arguments can be made that make it just as fine to do it in animation service. You know, like, literally all it's doing is updating the layouts within itself. So it's just as good of an argument, but the thing that makes it the best argument is that it will probably actually work. The other one wouldn't work. And the fact that it works is a pretty darn compelling argument, in my opinion. Um, so we already have animation service, so let's go over to that, go to definition. And then Control V. And instead of this animation service, it's just this. So, like, let's say this doesn't work, right? Like, let's say for some weird reason this doesn't work. It could be very upsetting. It probably should be very upsetting, but it also should also be exciting because it's like, okay, there's something I don't understand. Right now, I'm sort of just zombieing through this. It's just like, okay, I know what I do, blah, 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 blah. I'm not really having to just really understand it. Um, but if I do have to sit down and really understand it, that means there's something there for me to really understand. You know, it's not just a waste of time to just go through and, oh, why did that other one not work? Why does this one not work? And so let's go here. Yeah, that seems to be fine. All right, so then we can get rid of this. this. And come out over here and paste that in here. And let's just make sure we didn't break the other one. So that seems to be working fine. Now, this is like if I was feeling super adventurous and was just like, okay, I want to take another 2 week um, detour, I think this would be a great time to, like, this code is literally identical. Um, in, like the guts of this code. The only thing that makes this different is that, like, I think I have some CSS that's tied to this app custom layout, right? But the code in the controller is absolutely identical. Now the thing is the template is going to change, right? Because this template is like not going to have anything in it, but the other template's going to have like a table with buttons next to it and stuff like that. So but the TypeScript is identical. So it would be fun to like sort of explore different sort of options and creating. Oh, do I extend this component or do I, you know, like, do I pull this? Well, I can't really pull. Like, do I pull everything in here into another function? Um, but then it's just like going crazy with all these abstractions and next level sort of concepts for what really amounts to like 3 lines of code, right? So it's like we have duplication of 3 lines of code. Um, and then we lose a lot of freedom at that point, right? Like, we could, it's much easier to unintentionally break something. So I don't know. At this point, I'm not really feeling adventurous enough to kind of go down that path. I'm very, very happy that this, like, I didn't hit another weird rabbit hole to go down and fix before um, we had this functionality. And I feel like this is a good place to, well, let's see. Let's see what we have. So we'll probably have a broken unit test because of that, because of removing that file, and we'll probably not quite have 100% in animation service if we run that anymore, but we might still have 100%. I feel like this is a great time to do a commit. And that would be a lot easier if I wasn't committed to unit tests. So we are still only at 8:37. So man, this is a heck of a session. And this is like it all accelerated, like everything accelerated. We got suddenly got a whole bunch of stuff done, and it's just like that doesn't just keep happening. Like you set up, set up, set up, and then you have an acceleration, and then you go right back to set up, set up, set up, set up again. And agile would have you believe, and not only that, but every additional setup takes longer because you've got a bigger machine that you're trying to do if you want to do it carefully. Agile believes that like it, you're they believe that they're like in a unlimited ammunition type of game, like where it's like, okay, now our velocity has increased by X amount, and then they're like, and then that means next month our velocity will increase again. And it's like, no, your velocity might drop to zero. It might even go negative for a little bit as you build out the foundation for the next um, iteration of work. And I don't know. That's just the reality we live in. This like would likely, if I was in a professional environment, I might have to try to mess with this a little bit, like maybe swap these around or something so that the Sonic and all those different applications wouldn't sonar won't get fired off with duplicate code. Um, you definitely like this is probably identical to that other one, so you probably don't want that. Um, and the problem is see at this point I would probably actually already put the table around it. Um, Right now, all the app vizzes go there, but I think they're going to end up in a table. Dash table. See, so this is, I would probably just, for the sake of not failing um, static code analysis, um, actually add this additional sort of markup. And I guess it does help the other developers. Any other developer would sort of have a better intention of what you're trying to accomplish. Now, this code right here, like if we were in like in 2002, you would absolutely get just, they would demolish you, because they went through a phase like where everybody was just like, never use tables, never ever 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 use tables, probably for about 2 years, and you just had to live with their silliness. Let's see if that works. Did it rebuild? It probably rebuilt. Yeah. That's weird. I guess because I didn't. Yeah, see now these are in a table, and you shouldn't get any sort of kickback from anybody about um, what am I trying to say here? You shouldn't, like, it shouldn't be considered duplicate code anymore, because you know now we know how this goes. So, but we'll have our button in here when that time comes. But I do think this is a great time to stop, because then the next one will just be implementing the button, the delete button, and implementing the delete button and the delete code will probably be its own a very nice little um, unit test. Now we are going to um, test, right? That's how we do unit tests. See if we still have our 100%. It wouldn't surprise me if we still have our 100%, but we do need to check out animation service. My wife's phone rang, and it really reminded me I really don't like keeping my phone in my pocket. Um, Seems like it might be bad for you. That's not funny, right? Stirring up my drink. When I probably turned about 50, and I don't think it is age related. I really do think it was just like kind of the way the world worked, starting kind of like in 2020. Um, I just really started having to take a lot of supplements and stuff like that, which I'd never needed to take supplements before. This is just so slow. I had never really needed to take supplements before, but now I take tons and tons of them, probably literally like 25 supplements a day now. And it's just like, but I mean, the thing is before that I would try a supplement, it just wouldn't do. I would see absolutely no difference. But now you definitely see, okay, so we have one broken unit test. It cannot compile. So I'm gonna hold the control button down and push and click on that, and it'll take me there. And the thing is yeah, this function doesn't exist anymore. So we definitely will delete that. The intention is to delete that. I just might need it as a reference. But it looks like, yeah, testing that service is going to be super simple. Okay, so it is, it says watch mode enabled, but then it didn't actually start a new run. $8:44. And tomorrow I'll try to be in the office by 7, because traffic is just so insane in Atlanta. it's like one of those things where like I've had long commutes before, but like most commutes you can like sort of you know de get less stressed out while you're driving. But in Atlanta, especially around 4 o'clock, you better be on point when you're driving because it is competitive. All right, so that worked. We have 100%. All of our unit tests passed now. So now the next step is just check our coverage. Check the coverage. It's kind of crazy how calm, like it's like this whole effort of implementing the new thing has just been the most calm, relaxing thing. And we've had other things that have been absolutely crazy. Oh yeah, we could have looked here. So we've lost coverage. It's probably in at animation. So we definitely have that one. It looks like everybody else is 100%. And so let's go into app animations. So see, this is a good one where we have 62 statements and 61 lines. And looks like one line and one statement isn't being called. And that is our new function. And I betcha, we can just copy this over. To our animation service, unit test. And then instead of it being component, it should be service. I guess this should be layouts. And this should be hello service. And again, you don't, at this point, I don't really have to think through things. If things break, if this doesn't work, it's a bad thing because it's like, oh, darn it. I was hoping we'd be moving on to the next thing. But um, it's a good thing in that we'll get to learn something. But that just worked. Now, this is the first time that I think the end-to-end test is actually going to be harder than the unit test. It shouldn't be hard, though. What do we want? I think all we want is that on the resize, when it's in tabular, um, that the fourth one is like 800 down or something like that. Um, and the top. So no, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to. It will have. See, like if you look at this and we go in here, it actually has the top set. I think should have the top set. Yeah, see, we have the top set to 0, and the left set to 100. So, like, this element is set, but the problem is it's not the kind of element it is. It's no longer an absolutely positioned element. So it ignores the settings. Um, One thing that we didn't have to think about, and I don't know, it might come back to bite us later, but we didn't do all the assigning of, like, we put a lot of work into assigning the right thing, the visualization layouts um, in the application, which we don't seem to be doing. So I don't know. Um, let's see. It's weird, right? But I guess we didn't do it here. ST animate. Oh no, we set up the DOM visualizations, and over here we still set up the DOM visualizations. So yeah, so we do all the assignments and all that, but the layout, the CSS layout is different. Um, I believe with this, the other style is set to. Let's go look. Thought that it was set to like a different. The parent layout is different, so let's go to this guy. See how this is lit, and the reason it's lit is because the parent app custom layout, I think, is a different layout. I thought. I don't think it's in the router. I'm pretty sure. Okay. See, he has the top and the left, and that's valuable. But like if we go over here, 850, inspect. We go to this guy. It gives us this information. It says the position static property left. The position static property prevents left from having an effect. So now we look at the same one, but inspect here, and we don't get that. And it's saying that the, oh, see, yeah, we have the position set to absolute in this situation. And, but I thought it was set to absolute in the other one too. Yeah, okay, the position is not set to absolute. Um, and that is, let's see, inspect. This is something I kind of want to understand a little bit right now. Oh, yeah, because we have a style, of a rule here that says an app viz, and I'm guessing that app viz is inside of. Oh, okay. Okay. So the actual layout itself has the actual layout itself, the styles. So one another thing that's different is if we were to go into app custom layout, we have this, and then in app, and we probably even want to get rid of this focus thing at app. At this point, we're not. I don't know. But then over here in app tabular layout CSS, we don't have anything. So it's because this is being set to, to absolute. This position of this is being set to absolute when it's inside of this component. So that's like another thing that you would have to completely wire up if you wanted to like do extensions. I think, I don't know. I'm definitely going to be thinking about that a lot because it would be kind of nice if the constructor was like if they shared the same constructor, which we could pretty much create another. Okay, so we know UI service cannot have animation visualization, animation service in with it. For some reason, those two are incompatible. So I don't know. 852. Okay, so we are good on that. Now let's see. Let's kill the unit tests, and then tomorrow let's just look at, make sure that the Cypress, since we have a little bit of time, make sure the Cypress tests will work. PM run Cypress and open. Man, those words seem out of place to me. Yeah, first thing I do is I have a drink in the morning. And it's got like tons of different stuff in it. I just make it myself. I'm just sprinkling in all my own little supplements. And it doesn't cost very much. It's pretty cheap when you buy it. Most supplements by themselves are extremely inexpensive. It's when you buy like a group together. Like one thing we take is called Alpha Brain. That one you buy it's pretty expensive and you buy it as a group. But man, I'll tell you, my IQ must be like 10% higher when I'm on Alpha Brain. It has been a real game changer for me. So let's check this one out. Just make sure. I do not think anything's going to be broken. I can't wait to see the other one when when it goes vertical now, when it, because our resize one does move to a different layout. Oh my gosh, what is taking so long? Okay, that one worked. It passed. We got pass. Hello. Got a pass. Probably inputs probably needs a little bit more work now that you can move. Yeah, well, yeah, probably I should tab back out into the other view and make sure that that still works too. So we got probably two tests. This, I think we just need to add like when it goes to tabular, that it checks that the guys are in the right, in that right there. It should probably just do one more check and that one's done. But the inputs is good. Probably should at this point hit the enter button. Well, no, we are. Well, no, I think we're just selecting it. So I need to like tab over there in this guy. Routing was working. Yeah, inputs is the one, I think. Yeah, because I never tab back to um, tab back and make sure that the whatever, like probably check to see that the tabular um, component exists or something like that. Probably be the best thing. So we need to add one more, probably a whole test. I think they're called tests to this thing. And we need to just do a one last check on this one here. And then we'll be ready to commit. And after that, we'll add the delete button to be able to delete one of these. And then we'll have the, and get that wired up. And then we'll have the whole thing. And then, yeah, then we'll have then we can start on the update, which is the true test. Anyways, 8:56. I got to start working 4 minutes. Happy coding, everybody. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I won't be on tomorrow morning, I do not think. Bye.